A very warm good morning to all. So, students, you must be clear with the last chapter, machines, and it would have been easy for you to solve the numericals with the concepts taught. So today I am beginning with a new chapter, that is refraction of light. What is refraction? What are its consequences? How is it affected? So we are going to study all this in this chapter. And as you can see the picture over here, it is also showing a concept of refraction. So we move further. This is one more picture in which we can see the phenomena of refraction of light, where the light rays are entering from air to glass and they are forming a specific pattern of image over there. We'll learn about it and then only we'll come to know about it. And this picture is also showing us the same phenomena where the light rays are traveling from air to glass and forming a specific pattern. So we move further. So students, let us have a recap of what we know about reflection and refraction phenomena. Now, as you have studied in your earlier classes, that there is a phenomena known as reflection. You have also studied that when light ray is incident on any surface, then a part of light ray is reflected, a part is refracted, and a part is absorbed at the surface. So it depends upon the kind of surface. If the surface is smooth and reflecting, if the surface is smooth and it is opaque, then the most of the part of the light will be reflected. If the medium is transparent, if the surface is transparent, then most of the light ray will be going inside and therefore the light ray will observe more of refraction. And if the surface is like cotton or jute bags, then most of the light ray will be absorbed in the medium. So you have studied about it. Now, as you see the picture over here, there is an incident ray which is striking the surface of air and glass. There is a normal drawn, and you can see as the medium in which light ray is entering from that surface is transparent, and therefore the light ray is going in. That means it is moving in the medium, and most of the light ray will suffer refraction. Now, as we can see that the light ray which is moving is suffering refraction, and a part of light ray is also reflected. It is not said like that if the medium is transparent, so all the part of the light ray will be refracted. A part is reflected, a small part is reflected, and most of the part is refracted, and yes, a small part is absorbed also. Okay, now we can see the light ray which has entered in has suffered refraction, and again when the light ray is coming out of that medium, it is again suffering refraction. Now students, what is refraction? Now we are going to learn about it, so we move further. Okay, before explaining refraction, I just want to take an example. Suppose you are moving out of your home with your vehicle. Now, if the road is empty, then you will move straight from your destination to where you have to go. So you will be moving straight with the smallest smallest distance. Now, if there is a traffic jam, if it is crowded, then what will you do? You will move from places wherever you get space. In that traffic jam, wherever you get space, from there you will move. So, from here, we also conclude that light ray also finds its way when the density of the medium increases. So, when light ray travels from one medium to another, so when light ray is traveling from one medium to another, light ray suffers refraction. That means deviation in its path. Deviation in its path, like you were traveling in the traffic jam, so there was deviation in your path. Same way, it depends upon the density of that medium, that how the light ray will deviate. So this deviation in the path of the light ray is known as refraction. When the light ray entering from one medium to another medium suffers a deviation in its path, that means change in its path, that is known as refraction. Now, as you can see the pictures over here, in the first picture, it is the light ray is going from air to glass. We can see a normal over there, and the blue light shows, the blue color shows the light ray which is entering from air to glass. In the second picture, we can see that the light ray is entering from glass to air. There is a slight difference in these two pictures, which we will talk about right now. First, we will see the definition. The change in direction of path of light when it passes from one transparent medium to another transparent medium is called refraction. I hope this is clear to you people now. Refraction of light is essentially a surface phenomena. So it is a surface phenomena. Wherever the two mediums separate and the light travels from one medium to another medium, refraction occurs. Now in the first picture, we can see when the light ray is traveling from a rarer medium to a denser medium. Now, the density of the medium has been compared over here. So, air is rarer medium and glass is denser medium. Obviously, the particles of the molecules of the glass are very closely packed as compared to air, because glass is solid and air is a gas. Now, when the light ray travels from rarer to denser medium, the refracted ray bends towards the normal. As you can see, AO is not going straight and is bending towards the normal. If you draw a line AO and extend, so it will go somewhere above BO, not BO. So BO is tilting towards the normal, and therefore we say whenever a light ray travels from rarer to denser medium, it bends towards the normal. And same, the opposite thing happens when a light ray travels from denser to rarer medium, the light ray travels away from the normal. So we have studied these two cases. We'll be more clear with this in the next pictures. So we move further. Okay. So now this is a picture which is showing refraction of light ray through a glass slab. So we have used a cuboid of glass and we have kept it on paper and we have drawn the refraction of light ray, and this picture is showing the same. This will be done in your laboratory and in your lab manuals also by you people. So this experiment is there in your syllabus and it is to be done in the labs by you people. Okay, so we see over here AB is the incident ray. So a ray has been drawn over there and there is a normal. Now the angle of incidence, whatever we draw, we make sure that what angle of incidence we have drawn. If it is 30 degree, then AB to the normal should make 30 degree. And if it is 60 degree, so same, the mistake which people do is they draw PBA as 30 degree and they say that angle of incidence is 30 degree. So you have to see that angle of incidence means that line AB makes with the normal. That should be 30 degree, not PBA. Okay, so now incident ray is falling on the surface PQ of the glass slab PQRS, and AB is the incident ray, and we have drawn the normals. Now theta 1 is the angle of incidence over here. Now as the light ray is passing from rarer to denser medium, therefore the light ray is bending towards the normal, and therefore we get angle of refraction as theta 2. Now, theta 1 will not be equal to theta 2. Obviously, theta 1 will be more and theta 2 will be less as the light ray is passing from rarer to denser medium and the light ray is moving towards the normal. So, angle is decreasing. Okay. Now, we see that when this light ray again comes out of the medium, so theta 2 is only the angle of refraction over there. So theta 2, as you draw the normals, extend the normals, you will see that theta 2 and theta 3 will be equal because they'll become alternate angles. But just to explain here, theta 2 and theta 3 have been written differently. Okay, so theta 3 becomes the angle of incidence in that case. Now, when the light ray emerges out, that means it comes out of the medium, it suffers angle of refraction. It suffers refraction, and now it will move away from the normal as it is moving from denser to rarer medium. So, angle of refraction will increase in this case. Now, if we extend AB backward, we see that there is a gap between the emergent ray and the direction of the incident ray. We call this distance as lateral displacement, which we will study later. So this is the experiment which is to be done over there. This is the diagram which is to be drawn. Each and everything has been labeled over here. Okay, so we move further. Now, in this diagram, we can see that when angle of incidence is 0, that means when the light ray is falling perpendicularly to the surface of the two media, in that case, it does not suffer any deviation. It follows its own path. It follows its own straight path. So we come to know that whenever the angle of incidence is 0, that means the light ray is perpendicular to the surface of the two media. In that case, it does not suffer any deviation. Okay? And second, we have studied whenever it travels from rarer to denser medium, it bends towards the normal. And whenever it travels from denser to rarer medium, it moves away from the normal. Students, this should be clear to you that how is the light ray deviating in the phenomena of refraction. Okay? So we move further. Okay, so now we have understood what is refraction and how the light rays are going from rarer to denser and denser to rarer. Now we have laws of refraction. As we had the laws of reflection, the same way we have laws of refraction. So every light ray which is suffering refraction phenomena will follow the laws of refraction. Okay, so the first one here is the same as phenomena for reflection. That is the incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal to the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. So all these three, that is incident ray, refracted ray and the normal all fall in the same plane, all lie in the same plane. Now the second one. For a definite monochromatic light ray and for a definite pair of medium, the sign of angle of incidence bears a constant ratio with the sign of angle of refraction, which is known as the refractive index of latter medium with the former one. Now, what is this definition saying? I will tell you. This is saying that sine, you must have studied the trigonometrical ratios. So the sine is that trigonometrical ratio, sine perpendicular upon hypotenuse. So sine of angle of incidence to sine of angle of refraction always bears a constant ratio for a certain pair of media. And this is also known as Snell's law. So I will read the definition once more. For a definite monochromatic light ray, that means for a single color light ray, you know that white light is formed from 7 colors, Vibgyor. So we are talking about a single color light ray. For a definite monochromatic, mono means one, chromatic means color. So for a definite single color light ray and for a definite pair of medium, so your medium should also be definite. If it is air to glass, so you are talking only about air to glass, so it is definite. If you don't know about which media it is going, so it will be uncertain. So for a definite monochromatic light ray and for a definite pair of medium, the sine of angle of incidence, so the trigonometrical ratio of angle of incidence, sine of angle of incidence bears a constant ratio. So the value of this ratio is constant, bears a constant ratio with the sine of angle of refraction, which is known as the refractive index of the latter medium with the former one. That means if it is traveling from air to glass, the refractive index of glass with respect to air, former to latter, so glass with respect to air is sine I upon sine R, and this is also known as Snell's law. So sine I upon sine R is the refractive index. This formula is known as Snell's law. Okay, so we move further. So to calculate the refractive index of any two media, any two definite pair of medium, we know the formula as sine I upon sine R, for which we have to do the experiment and we have to calculate the angle of incidence and angle of refraction. Now, if that is not done, so there is one more formula given for calculating the refractive index of the definite pair of media, and that is speed of light in vacuum to speed of light in material is known as the refractive index of that pair of media. Now, so if the light ray is traveling from air to glass, so speed of light in vacuum or air, it is approximately same. So if the light ray is traveling in vacuum, it is the same as light rays traveling in air. So light ray, speed of light ray in vacuum or air, that is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second. We all know the speed of light in vacuum and air. So speed of light in vacuum or air to speed of light in medium will give you the refractive index. So if you have to find out the refractive index, if the light ray is traveling from air to glass, so what will you do? Speed of light in air, that is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second upon, you will calculate the speed of light in that medium, that is glass. So whatever it comes, we will divide speed of light in air to speed of light in glass, and we will get the refractive index of this pair of media. I hope this formula is also clear to you people. So we move further. Now, to apply the formula which we studied right now, to apply directly on two different media without taking vacuum and air, we have calculated in this way. Now we know that absolute refractive index of a transparent media is always greater than 1. Obviously, the denominator will always be less than the numerator because nothing travels faster than the speed of light. So we have speed of light in air in the numerator. So if numerator is big and denominator is small, that means the value will always be 1 or greater than 1. It cannot be less than 1 because the denominator cannot be more than the numerator here, because nothing moves faster than light in air or vacuum. And therefore, the absolute refractive index of a transparent media is always greater than 1. I hope this is clear. Okay, now we have studied that speed of light in air or vacuum to speed of light in medium is the refractive index of that certain media with respect to air. Now, let us have two different medias over here. Medium 1, let it be glass, and medium 2, let it be water. Okay, we have two different media, and we directly want to find out the refractive index of water with respect to glass. Now, in that case, if we have to calculate, what will we do? First of all, we will find out the speed of light in water, and we will find out the speed of light in glass. Then first we will divide speed of light in air to water, and at then one side we will divide speed of light in air to glass, and then further we will find out the refractive index, isn't it? So here what we are doing is we are doing it directly. We are calculating a formula so that we can calculate the refractive index of glass to water directly. Now how? We have taken 1 mu2, that is glass to water over there. Now speed of light in glass, let it be V1, and speed of light in water, let it be V2. Now C by V2, how we are getting it, we are telling you. Now C by V2 will be the refractive index for V2. We know that speed of light in SC is the speed of light in air or vacuum, and V2 is the speed of light in glass, and C again is speed of light in air or vacuum divided by speed of light in water. Okay. Now V2 is glass and V1 is water. Speed of light in glass is V2 and speed of light in water is V1. So C by V2 we have taken 1, and C by V1 we have taken 1. Now when you calculate, C and C will be cancelled, and V1 will come up and V2 will come down, and therefore the refractive index of glass to water will come as V1 upon V2, where V2 is the speed of light in glass and V1 is the speed of light in water. Understood? So right now we can directly apply the formula if we have to find out the speed of light in refractive index of medium 1 with respect to medium 2. So it will be speed of light in medium 1 to speed of light in medium 2, direct. And from where it has come, we have seen now. Okay, so we move further. Okay, so conditions for no change in direction of light ray on refraction. So what are the conditions in which light ray does not suffer any deviation? One we have already studied. So the ray of light does not deviate on passing from medium 1 to medium 2 when? Number 1, when angle of incidence at the boundary of two media is 0, which we have studied, that if the angle of incidence is 0, in that case the light ray will straight away go in the same direction. That means the light ray is perpendicular to the two surfaces, two media, and it goes straight without any deviation. Number 2, when the refractive index of medium 2 is the same as refractive index of medium 1. So if the two medias are having the same refractive indices, in that case also it will not suffer any deviation, because the densities are now the same and it won't suffer any deviation. It will move straight. So these were the two conditions. Angle of incidence should be 0 and the refractive indices should be same. In that case, no deviation will occur. Okay, so we move further. Okay, now we are on what are the changes due to refraction of light. What are the changes brought about due to the refraction of light? Number 1 is due to the change in speed of light, the direction of light changes except angle I equal to 0. So if there is a change in the speed of light, the direction of light also changes. So we all know this. So if the speed of the light will change, direction of the light ray will change. Obviously, if it is denser, the speed will be slow, and if it is rarer, the speed will be more. So obviously, there will be a deviation because of the speed of the light and the density of the medium. Now, number 2, when a light ray passes from rarer to denser medium, speed of light decreases. We all know, yes, when it is coming from rarer to denser, obviously the speed will decrease because it is coming to a denser medium. When you're moving in a jam-packed road, your speed will decrease. Third, since frequency of light depends on source of light, so it does not change on refraction. So frequency of light does not have any effect on refraction because it depends upon the source of the light and not on the phenomena. So refraction has no effect of the frequency. Now the fourth point, due to the change in speed of light, wavelength of light also changes. Now first we have to understand what is wavelength. Now, you know that light ray travels in waveform. Till now, till you were small, you studied that light travels in a straight line. And as you have grown up, now you know that light travels in a waveform. Now you understand what is a wave. It moves up, then down, again up, then down. So there is a crest. The above portion is known as a crest and the lower portion is known as a trough. So light ray moves in a waveform. Now, we are saying that due to the change in speed of light, the wavelength of light also changes. Now, if the speed of light is very fast, in that case, the light ray will be moving very fast and it will have lot many waves in 1 second, and therefore the distance of that the one wave covers will be very, very small. Now, what is wavelength? I have not made it clear. Wavelength is the distance moved by the wave in one oscillation. That means whatever is one wave moving is wavelength of that wave. So, when the speed of light is very fast, in that case, wavelength will be very small in that case. And if the speed of the light is very fast, the wavelength will be very big. And in the case when the speed of light is very slow, the wavelength will be very small. So here, due to the change in speed of light, wavelength of light also changes because frequency remains the same. We have also studied about the formula V is equal to n lambda, where V is the velocity of light, n is the frequency, and lambda is the wavelength. So if you have any confusion, please write this in your copies. V is equal to n lambda. Now V is the velocity of light. We can take it in any medium. V is the velocity of light. N is the frequency, which has no effect on refraction, and lambda is the wavelength. Now let us assume that in the first case, it is the speed of light in air. So let the speed of light in air be c. So we take c is equal to, frequency remains the same. So we take frequency n, and let us take the wavelength as w1. So first case, you write the first equation, c is equal to n into w1. Now, second case, we take that speed of light in any other media. So let it be V. Now, V is equal to, the frequency remains the same because it depends upon the source of light. So V is equal to N into, let it be W2 now. Let the wavelength be W2 now. Or in the first case, if you take W, now let it be W1. So now you have two equations over here. C is equal to NW and you have V is equal to NW1. Now if we divide the first equation by the second, so we will have C by V in the first case. That means the left hand side will be C by V. And the right hand side will be NW upon NW1. N and N cancel. So we will have C by V is equal to W upon W1. And we know that C by V is refractive index. Velocity of light in air or vacuum upon velocity of light in medium is known as the refractive index of the medium. So, refractive index can be placed over here. See, in place of C by V, we can write it as refractive index. So, refractive index is equal to W upon W1. So, in that case, W1 is equal to W upon the refractive index of the medium. So W1, that is the change wavelength, that is the wavelength in the second medium, is equal to wavelength in the first medium divided by the refractive index of the medium. This formula will be used in finding the, by doing the numericals, and therefore we have done this. Otherwise, the point is to understand that due to the change in speed of light, the wavelength of the light also changes. If the speed increases, wavelength increases. If the speed decreases, wavelength also increases, because it is in direct proportion. V is equal to N lambda. V will increase, lambda will increase. V will decrease, lambda will decrease, because N remains the same. Is it okay, students? So we move further. Okay, so we are on factors affecting the refractive index of the medium. Till now we did factors affecting the phenomena for refraction, and now we are doing factors affecting the refractive index, the constant over there. Factors affecting the refractive index of a medium. The first point over here is nature of the medium. So, how is nature affecting? Less the speed of light, more is the refractive index. Less is the speed of light, that means it is more dense. Then only the speed of light is less. Less the speed of light, denser is the medium, and therefore refractive index is more. So more dense the medium, more the refractive index. Less denser the medium, less the refractive index. In that case, less the speed, more the refractive index. Must be clear with it. Number 2, physical conditions like temperature. Now you know that if any substance is heated, it starts changing its density. If solid is also heated, it starts changing to its molten state, that means in fluid state. In that case, physical conditions like temperature, how do they affect? Rise in temperature increases the speed. Obviously, from solid it is coming to molten state, so it is increasing the speed. So when the rise in temperature is there, it increases the speed in the medium, and therefore refractive index decreases. So how is temperature affecting? It is decreasing the refractive index. Temperature increases, refractive index decreases. Third point, the color or wavelength of light. The refractive index of the medium increases with the decrease in wavelength. So refractive index of the medium will increase if there is a decrease in wavelength. So wavelength will decrease, refractive index will increase. You can see from the formula which we have studied right now. Now red light travels faster than violet light. So violet has a greater refractive index because violet is slow in speed as compared to red, and therefore violet has a greater refractive index. Okay, so we move further. Now we are on principle of reversibility of light ray. Now, if the light ray is going from air to glass, and suppose it has its refractive index as N1. Now, if refractive index is going opposite, that means from glass to air, the refractive index will be 1 upon N1. And this is known as the principle of reversibility of the light ray. That means it is reversible. If it is going from air to glass, and if we have to find out from glass to air, we will just reciprocate and we will get the values. From where it is coming, we will see now. Now, we can see this diagram where I and R is the angle of incidence and angle of refraction. Now, there has been kept a mirror in the denser medium from where the light ray is traversing, it's reversing its path from there only. So, angle of refraction in the first case becomes angle of incidence, and angle of incidence in the first case becomes angle of refraction, because it will obviously come out on the same path. So, in the first case, it is A mu B. Let the first medium be A and the second medium be B. It is rarer to denser, and therefore A mu B is equal to sine I upon sine R. And if you say B mu A, that means from B to A, so it is sine R upon sine I. So if you multiply A mu B into B mu A, sine I and sine I will cancel, and sine R will cancel, and from here you will get A mu B into B mu A is equal to 1, or A mu B is equal to 1 upon B mu A. Mu is the refractive index. We also write it as N. So mu is the refractive index over here. Mu is a Greek letter which has been used as the refractive index in physics. If a light ray, after suffering any number of reflection and or refractions, has its path reversed at any stage, it travels back to the source along the same path in the opposite direction. The natural consequence of principle of reversibility is that the image and the object positions can be interchanged. So if you are changing the direction in the reverse order, object becomes image and image becomes object. These positions are called conjugate positions. I hope this is clear now. If you have to find out the refractive index in the other one, so you will just reciprocate and you will get the value from the principle of reversibility of the light ray. So we move further. Now we have already done about lateral displacement. I had said about in the third or the fourth slide. Now this was the experiment which had to be done in the lab. So now I again take up the definition here. The perpendicular distance d between the path of emergent ray and the direction of incident ray is called lateral displacement. So as you can see, the ray of light is entering the glass and then it is coming out from the glass. So that is the emergent ray. And when the incident ray has been traced back with the dotted line, the distance d, that is the perpendicular distance between the emergent ray and the ray which has been traced back as the incident ray, the perpendicular distance between these two rays is d, and this is known as lateral displacement or the lateral shift. So the perpendicular distance d between the path of emergent ray and the direction of incident ray is called lateral displacement. You also have to calculate lateral displacement while doing the experiment in the lab. So we move further. Now we are doing factors affecting lateral displacement. So what are the factors which affect the lateral displacement? Number one, the thickness of the glass slab. So it increases with the thickness. That means the lateral displacement increases with the thickness of the glass slab. The angle of incidence. So it increases with the increase in angle of incidence. The refractive, third point, the refractive index of glass, and therefore also on the wavelength of light used. So factors affecting the lateral displacement is the refractive index of glass also. So this is also one of the factors, that refractive index also has an effect on lateral displacement. And how? Refractive index of glass, and therefore also on the wavelength of light used, because refractive index is dependent on wavelength. So therefore, refractive index increases if the wavelength decreases, and refractive index decreases if the wavelength increases. So refractive index, and therefore also on the wavelength of light used. It increases with the refractive index of the material. Since refractive index increases with decrease in wavelength, lateral displacement increases with decrease in wavelength. So refractive index and wavelength refractive index and lateral displacement have the same relation with wavelength. Both increase with decrease in wavelength and both decrease with increase in wavelength. Okay, so must be clear till now, so we move further. Okay, so now we are on multiple images in a thick plane glass plate or a thick mirror. Now this has been observed in refraction that if we take a thick glass slab or a glass plate or a thick mirror, in that case, if a pin or a candle flame, that means if any object is kept in front of a thick plate, it should be quite thick, or a thick mirror, then what happens? If a pin or a candle flame is placed in front of a thick plain glass plate or a thick mirror and is viewed obliquely, obviously you don't have to see it in perpendicular manner, you have to see it from the sides. So it is viewed obliquely, a number of images are seen. Out of these images, the second image is the brightest, while others are of diminishing brightness. Diminishing brightness means the brightness goes on decreasing by every image after the second image. So how we are going to see in the next figure. So let's move further. Okay, students, please see. This is very interesting if you pay attention over here. Now, A is the object over here. So we have a object kept at A. And we have a thick glass mirror or a glass plate, whatever you want to take it as, L, M, N, P. So this is a thick glass plate over here. Now, a ray of light is passing perpendicularly from A, so it won't suffer any deviation and it will go straight. So we will not see anything, and that is why it has been told to see obliquely. Now, obliquely when we see, so ray of light is passing and it is incident as AB on the surface. Now, as the first surface is transparent, so light ray will suffer reflection also and refraction also. So most of the light ray will be refracted and less of the light ray will be reflected because the medium is transparent and the light can go inside, and 4%, it is found that 4% of the light ray is reflected and 96% of the light ray is refracted at point B. Now, we move further. From B, the light ray is refracted and it reaches B dash. If you draw the normal, it is moving from rarer to denser and therefore it is moving towards the normal and therefore it reaches B dash. Now, B dash is a mirror over here. It is acting as an opaque mirror over here. It is acting as an opaque point and therefore it reflects from B dash and comes to point C. Now, at point C, it emerges out. Now, from point C, again it suffers reflection also and refraction also. Now, when it is suffering reflection, whatever the maximum light ray which was incident over there has given reflection, and therefore at point C we get the reflected point over there. So from A we reach B, from B a part is refracted and a part is reflected. From B dash we are getting over there. Now from B dash it again reaches C. From C reflection and refraction both happen. So the reflected reaches C dash and the refracted reaches again it reaches C dash. Okay. So this way multiple images are formed over here. Now, from P, Q, R and S, we are viewing the object from P, Q, R and S. From P, if the rays are traversed back, they are traced back, from B, you see the first image, A1, which is the 4% of the refracted part, and therefore we get the image A1. Now, A2 from C, when this is C is the first reflected image. Sorry, image is B dash, but we are getting the point C. From B dash, it has been reflected and it reaches C. When C is traversed, so it is the second image over there, and this will be the brightest because it has suffered 96% was refracted, 96% of the light ray has suffered refraction, and it reaches C. So angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection in that case, and the percentage also remains same. So if 96% was incident, so 96% is leaving also. So at point C, the brightness will be at point, that is the image from point C when it is transferred, when it is traced back, will reach to A2, and therefore A2 is the second image, which is the brightest image. After this, the light ray which is moving to C dash will be of a decreasing brightness, and therefore the images will also decrease in brightness. Obviously multiple images will be formed, but of decreasing brightness. So must have understood that why is the second image the brightest one, and how is the multiple images formed in this case. So students, this was all for the first part of the chapter. We'll be dealing with few questions and numericals. If you have any problem in this part of the chapter, please do ask me in the comments below. So we move with the next part in the next class. So till now, we have this. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.